you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on?
In the country in Europe with the greatest wind power and wave power and tidal power, where renewable energy is our natural heritage, we're about to see the one and only company that provides the wind turbines disappear up to the other side of the lake. Completely ridiculous. And I don't know how many of you have looked at the league tables of the European Union countries in terms of how much of their energy comes from renewables, but those of you who have or have the figures even roughly in your mind will know that very good countries like Scandinavia have over 30% of their energy from renewable sources. Even some of the later rising countries, big industrial countries like Germany, have nearly 10%. And we limp along at 2%.
Shame!
At the same time as the government supports, encourages, and with the Tories is completely behind the nuclear industry, which will, even if it ever delivered, which it never has, even if it ever delivered on time, which it never has, even if it ever delivered on cost, which it never has, and even if it ever delivered without subsidy, which it never has, would produce a minute proportion of the energy mix that this country needs. So here we are, we're sitting on a fantastic resource, and I want to let you into a big secret. The big secret is that renewable energy was available when this government first came to power. This is not a discovery made this year. I actually want to let you into a bigger secret. It was even available when the last government were in power. One of the things that some of us have been saying for decades, and I mean decades, and some of us are on record as saying it for decades, is that we needed to develop our renewable sources for all the obvious reasons, onshore and offshore, but we also needed to do it because we are a country that prides itself on its inventiveness, its inventions, its engineering, its science, and its technology. And therefore, it doesn't take a genius to see that if we have the resource and we have the inventiveness, you just need to apply the inventiveness to using the resource, and then you can actually be feeding energy into our grid and into our system. There are just two other things that some people forget in this country. The great days of our great global prosperity were when cities grew and the Industrial Revolution happened. But cities also had their own utility companies. They produced their own energy, and they were proud of it. And they realized that actually, if you produce your own energy sources, if they come from somewhere near, if they're ours, not imported from far afield, then that gives civic pride as well as cost benefit in economic terms. It's also slightly clever, politically, to have your energy coming from somewhere in a country you control, rather than a country you don't control, and in a country which may not be as politically stable as us. And therefore, an energy policy which doesn't say let's use what we have rather than exploit what other people have seems to me to be an absolute no-brainer as a policy. So I'm not here to say, oh, what a tragedy has just happened last week, where the management of Vestas has suddenly said, we've got to go, guys. I'm not here to say, I'm really sorry, Mr. Billy Bragg, that you and your friends have been trying to come up with some nice offers that they find appealing in the last 2 weeks. I'm here to say, if you had thought about these things last year, or the year before, or the year before that, if you had realized that you can't say we need a green road out of the recession without thinking that means thinking how you produce the jobs, then there is something severely wrong with the intellectual capacities behind it. Miliband is a very nice man and a very bright man, and therefore, if he was here and open and honest with you, he will tell you that it is completely intellectually obvious that there should have been a development of a British industry in terms of the supply chain for renewable energy, not last week or last month or last year, but for a very long time. So what can we do now? Well, we have a difficulty, which is that the Vestas management, obviously a company owned abroad, have said, as most of their work is abroad, they're going to move abroad. I, like others, will try and persuade them to see if we can get some of the work at home. But that doesn't happen overnight. But there are people every day who are wanting to develop renewables in this country. I met some of them yesterday. They came to see me to make sure I understood, as the person who speaks for the Liberal Democrats, that there is a willingness to invest in Britain in renewables, on the west coast as well as the east, on the north as well as the south. None of them were saying yesterday, the three guys I saw yesterday, or any of the others, we can't produce these things in Britain. No, nobody has said that. Nobody has said your technology is crap. Nobody has said you don't have the workforce. Nobody has said you're not in the right place. Everybody has said, give us the encouragement, show us the way forward, give us the sites, help with the planning permission, and we will come and put our money here and we'll invest here. So I have a very clear and simple message that I hope will unite all of us, whatever our politics, which is that we need to not just talk a good talk about renewable energy, not just have a very good rhetoric about green jobs, but have a policy that links the action and the delivery to the rhetoric. And I just want to say two other very simple things. I'm told, although I wasn't there, that Lord High Everything Else, alias Peter Mandelson, yesterday, or was it Monday, went up to the northeast to talk to people in chorus about the steel industry in this country. I am told, though I wasn't there, that ministers beat quite a path recently to the West Midlands, including the Prime Minister, to talk to the motor industry about how they might be able to preserve their jobs in this country. They seem to think that was important. Jobs in the steel industry and jobs in the motor industry. If you seriously want to be believed, I think we have to say to the government that it's not just talk of a green road out of recession and talk of green jobs, but it's actually you have to have an industrial and manufacturing policy that goes with it. And that means you have to start at the beginning of the supply chain, talk to people about the industrial sites they need, talk to people about apprenticeships in their industry, talk to people about training in their industry, talk to people about some of the scientific research money that can be put in, talk to people about some of the money that's needed for the new technologies to support it, like with carbon capture and storage. You need to do those sorts of things and talk to them before other people disappear as well. I've done... No, I wouldn't nationalise Vestas.
Why the hell not?
Nationalise it. What are you doing here?
Get the bankers. That's what the workers in occupation want.
Because I don't believe that...
Plenty of money for the bankers.
I don't believe... listen, I'm not the government, so then... Why not? You can have a go at the government about giving money.
We set off to join the picket lines, but together we cannot fail. We got stopped by police at the county line. They said, go home, boys, or you'll go into jail. And which side are you on, boys? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, boys? Which side are you